Welcome to the show, Tilden. What a great day to be here and talk real estate. I'm excited to jump into this. How's it feel to be Tilden today?
Absolutely great. You know, I'm always happy on a day I get to talk about deals and helping people make money. So
awesome. And just a little bit of background for the listeners to learn a little bit more about you and kind of build that authority because, hey, you've got a couple of things working for you here. You are, one, a real estate investor doing this yourself, but two, have the law background to really understand the ins and outs of what we're going to be talking about today. So why don't you let listeners in on a little bit of your experience professionally and then into real estate as well?
Sure. So after getting an MBA, I decided I really wanted to be a real estate developer. So my idea was to do assisted living facilities using modular home construction. It was a great idea. I had no idea what I was doing. So I was looking around at where I could learn how to do what I was wanting to do. And I saw a bunch of lawyers. I saw lawyers that were doing these developments that in my community. So I thought, oh, that's a good idea. Why don't I go get a law degree? So I did that. And so my classes were all, property and contracts and things like that. Turns out I ended up becoming a litigator because the adrenaline rush of litigating is quite a pull. So I litigated for 10 years, but still was doing a real estate centered thing. So it was real estate as it relates to ownership, bankruptcy, family, any time where real estate was the main asset, that was what I would do. About 10 years later, I was getting kind of burnt from litigating, and I did some commercial brokerage of real estate and really enjoyed that part of it, but didn't really want to be a broker, but just dabbled. I had a partner who was on that side who showed me a deal, and it was a great deal. It was for one of the large dialysis providers, a development project for them, a single unit building. It was really good, and he said, check out this deal. I looked at it and said, oh my gosh, that is a really good deal. He's like, yeah, we should syndicate it. And I was like, okay, sure. I had no idea what he was really talking about. I'd heard of it, but no clue. And so I said, sure, we can do that. And kind of figured out how to do that. One deal led to another. And I started thinking, well, why I enjoy putting these deals together. Why am I not doing this instead of litigating? So I switched my practice over. Now my law practice just focuses entirely on syndication and putting funds together, and then my investments really span across real estate, mostly still in real estate, but some other business interests and things like that as well.
And the partner in this first deal, is that a partnership that you would structure your future partnerships after? I mean, was that something, or what did you learn from that first partnership in the syndication process?
Pick your partners well. The first guy, the one who showed me, there were four of us total. The one who showed me the deal was great. We're still great friends and still would do deals together. The other partners, we probably won't do deals together anymore. Just a conflict of values. So, I mean, the lessons learned really is, pick your partners well, make sure you're aligned on vision and strategy and how you want to grow or change or deal with investors, and make sure that there's alignment there. It's even in my law practice, because most people don't syndicate completely alone. They have other partners, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's three. Is a lot of times I'll get involved in putting together those partnership agreements as well, and fortunately I've had mostly good experiences, but enough rocky things go on, and certainly from my litigation background, I saw some really bad stuff.
So, in your experience, what are some of the ways that maybe new syndicators have messed up have maybe forgotten something or dropped the ball?
Well, in syndication world, probably the most common thing is people don't do the legal requirements, right? They don't fulfill what they need to do in order for the security to be properly a security. So under our system of rules, we Regulation D, which is what my practice is under, which is basically an exception to registering a security with the SEC. In order to do that, there's certain requirements, and so and we call that whole thing a safe harbor, right? It's a safe place where you are not going to be able to be successfully accused of making a public offering, which is something you don't want to do. So a private offering is the space that we're in, and this safe harbor makes it clear this is a private offering. So the most common thing, and I talk to at least one person a week who's either done it or is probably going to do it, where they think it's okay to kind of skip these things which put them in this safe harbor. It's not the end of the world if it happened in the past, but it's in everybody's best interest to get it right in the future.
What are some things that should be shown to the capital raise, people who are looking at these deals?
Well, I mean, there certainly needs to be a private placement memorandum. So that's sort of the core document. I oftentimes call it like, or use the metaphor of when you go to the bank and you open a checking account and they give you that big book to read that nobody ever does. That's the PPM. Most people don't read it, which they really should, but most people don't, and most people probably still aren't going to. But that document, if I was an investor and I didn't get one, you should run to the hills, because that kind of tells you that it's on the right level, that they're taking it seriously and they're doing the right things. If you just get an operating agreement, it's probably not set up right, and it's probably a violation of security rules, which is a problem for the investor because the whole deal can fall apart, and you don't want to be brought into somebody else's, deal that's just falling apart. It's just not worth it. So that's kind of like the first big tip-off. And the second really is, if you understand how real estate works and you have like a good sense about how money works and what a good deal looks like, and if your gut's telling you something it's not there, it's probably not. And so it probably doesn't actually work as a good deal. And the third thing is, and it's something I tell all of my clients, is always, always, always show up like a professional. Always show up with, good-looking documents, be able to explain things well, thoroughly. And if you can't, you're probably going to start getting that funny feeling that it doesn't seem like a great deal, and it's probably not.
So what about the disclosures that have to happen, or the NDA that has to happen? Is there a name for that document, or where does that fall in the process here?
And most of the time, I mean, for my own deals, I generally don't do an NDA unless it's required by like the seller of a property or a business that I'm raising money for or something, because it's just a deal. I mean, it's not, these really aren't that super secret. So I normally don't do an NDA, but I would do, certainly there needs to be some sort of document room or something to allow as much information as possible. And I think most sponsors really have that and have it set up in order to make sure, the PPM does a great job of warning you of all the horrible things that can happen in an investment, but no sponsor wants to get to that point. It's much easier to say, well, I told you so in the PPM, and I gave you access to all the data that was there, and you still made the decision in order to invest. If something goes bad, that's always the best solution at the end of the day.